أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, I was asked to talk about Islamic finance, but I don't think it will do it justice in just one session. And so, inshallah, what I would like to do is basically pick up from where we finished last time. And I don't think we talked about how to do that, how to do ihsan, because we talked about the different areas where ihsan is in the life of the Muslim, which is everywhere, in every aspect of our lives. And then we talked about obstacles, awaiq al-ihsan. But then we didn't, and I think that's where we left off, right? We didn't talk about, okay, well, how do we do it? Or I can ask a question, but I don't want you to answer me. Were you able to achieve ihsan? From when we met last time to, and it's very important. It's very important to understand, and inshallah, that's what we're. Also, I would like to leave with you tonight is the importance of al-ilm, knowledge. Why do we acquire it, and what are we supposed to do with it? And I was told that Sheikh Hatim, you're covering this book of Al-Ubudiyya, and I hope that I was just kind of skimming the first pages, and the first chapter or part, which is being a true, the first part is being a true slave of Allah, being a true servant to Allah Azza wa Jal. And literally that's what it means. Our existence on this earth literally depends on ubudiyya. Depends on ubudiyya. And so inshallah we'll start with how can we, what are the tools and what can we do in order to be a muhsin? In order to be a muhsin. And inshallah, I will just put some of these, they're not too many. So what would be number one? Tool number one. Huh? Yes. La ilaha illallah. Well, yeah. La ilaha illallah. And if I find your wallet, I'm going to take it. Right? The number one is al-ilm. Two. Then two. Sisters. This is going to be, 1 and 2 is going to be the topic of tonight's actions. And remember what we said last time. What did we say last time? Ikhlas is? Huh? Sincerity. It's very important. But look where it is. We will not, without ilm and actions, we have to know what to do. And then the ilm that we acquire, what are we going to do with it? Because if we just acquire it, on the day of judgment, that ilm will be a problem. It will be used against us. And so ilm will lead us to, it has to be followed by actions, right? And then the ilm and the actions require sincerity. And then this thing, along with other things, sabr, tabat, will lead to Jannah. So it will lead to success. It's easy, right? Huh? It's easy. And so let us now see the importance of al-ilm. And why? Because unfortunately, either an-nafs or shaitan lead us to both, to the extremes. And so, on one hand, do you understand what this means? Who wants to go to Jannah? Right? We all do, right? If you can think of it, so al-Jannah equal it is a function of knowledge, action, sincerity, and some other little things. How much knowledge are you doing or acquiring? Don't answer. These are personal. You have to remember that here, this is not about somebody knows more than other. No. It is, if you're rational, or as Umar, or as Sahaba said, al-kayyisu al-fatin. If you're smart, if you're intelligent, and if you say you want al-Jannah, and if you know that al-Jannah requires, number one, ilm. You got to know. Because Allah Azza wa Jal said, look, here is my path. It is straight. What do we say in Surah Al-Fatiha? Ihdina, right? Ihdina what? As-sirat al-mustaqim. It is a straight path. How many straight paths are there? One and only one. Who defined it? Allah Azza wa Jal. And then if you want to be on it, what should you do? What's the first thing? Knowledge. You have to know what's on this path. What is this Sirat al-Mustaqim? What are the do's? What are the don'ts? And then you got to translate that ilm into actions. And then the test, the exam, is what these actions are for who? Because now Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, well, okay, you declare you love me, you work for me, you believe in me. This knowledge and these actions are for who? And this is your heart. And then the heart itself is related to, can we have a good heart without knowledge? No. No. And so what we have, the two extremes is, you tell me, you say to somebody, And who's going to school here? Somebody going to school? Or in college? Who's going to college? What are you studying?
Right now,
Have you engineering? So, مثلا, if you say to, you know, not you, somebody else, Muhammad studying engineering, come to tafsir, memorize the Quran, come to learn fiqh, what does he say? I don't have time. You know, I'm studying something else. What do? And we think it was put in our minds by either the environment, our families, that if you go to engineering, then you don't have to go to the other ilm. Why? Because you can choose. You can choose. You know, and I remember when I was growing up, it's you choose your path. Where do you want to go? You want to go a scientific path? You want to go a literary path, al-adab? Or you want to go to fiqh. يقول لك يعني تريد تصير إمام. And then fiqh is always looked at as what? Is the worst path for you. It's the worst path for you. And so what do we, you know, we have been brought up to think that if I'm going to medical school or engineering, I don't have to study this stuff. Who studies it? Those who are going to be shuyukh. No, inshallah, I'm going to be a surgeon. Inshallah, I'm going to be a lawyer. Is that correct? No, is this understanding correct? No. No. In this function, do I have a medical degree here? Huh? No. No. That is something else you're going to get that by default. You're going to live, you're going to eat, you're going to enjoy life by default. By default. But in order to go to Jannah, what do you need to do? Is Jannah wishful thinking? Is Jannah مثلا just come and work? Volunteer for a board or an Islamic school, we teach Arabic or we teach something and we think we're going to go to Jannah? Huh? No, it will not happen. It will not happen. And that's why يعني Al-Imam Al-Ghazali rahimahullah said, to see the importance of ilm. And wallahi, what I want to leave with you tonight, both, yani brothers and sisters, you must embark on a journey to learn or to earn your Jannah. And that journey starts by number one, ilm, knowledge. So you have to, inshallah, what I want you to be able to do is, you know, if you're married, have some halaqa on a regular basis. And if you're not, you have to set aside time. You cannot مثلا أخي say, Wallahi, and I'm taking physics and I'm taking math and chemistry and then English and Wallahi, I don't have no time. That's your problem. You got to solve it, and you have to find time for it. Because what happens to you if tomorrow you die? Well, that's what we do. A lot of times that's what we do. Inshallah, what do we say? Inshallah, let me finish the BS. And then we finish a bachelor's degree, and then what do we say? Well, I'm going to go to grad school. I'm going to get a master's degree or whatever. And then pretty soon, once, you know, we start to get white hair, what do we say again? Oh, you're too old. There's, you know, you can't memorize, you can't understand this stuff. Might as well just, you know, forget about it. And so Imam Al-Ghazali, he said, اعلم أن آداب الظواهر عنوان آداب البواطن. Who understands Arabic here? Understand that the ethics of the outside, for example, a beard, somebody that prays nicely, somebody that's very nice to deal with, he's a good brother or a good sister. He said those things are a symptom of what you have inside. They are a symptom of your heart, of what you have inside your heart. And وحركات الجوارح تمارات الخواطر. And then what you do with your body, you take, you give good words to everybody, are the fruits of what you have again internal. وسرائر القلوب. And then the hidden of the heart, or the heart, هي مغارس الأفعال ومنابعها. It is the roots and the source of the deeds. You following? That's why number 3 is important. Not only important, it is the big thing that Allah Azza wa Jal will look at. The first two are, ilm is what? In Islam, ilm is it a goal or a tool? Or a mean? Huh? It's a tool. It's a tool. It's a tool so that you work for Allah. So that you work, you do deeds, and for who? For Allah Azza wa Jal, with sincerity. And so that's why he says, وَسَرَائِرِ الْقُلُوبِ, يعني the hidden parts of your heart. What you have in your heart is the seed or the root of your deeds and the source. That's where whatever you do, that's where it comes from. And inshallah also I want to, once we understand this, I want to talk about the difference between ad-din wa tadayyun. Ad-din wa tadayyun. Being what is the way of life and what is following that way of life. Okay? Because again, as there is one sirat mustaqim, Allah Azza wa Jal has one deen. Do I represent Islam? Tricky question. Do I represent Islam? How? Huh? I only represent Islam if I know what is the deen and I follow the deen. And so everybody who just declares, who says I am a Muslim or prays, is he a representative of the deen? Huh? Yes. Because Allah Azza wa Jal says, and also in Surah Al-Kafirun, لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينٌ. There are a lot of deens or ways of life. And even we may have a particular way of life. And for example, I might, the way we treat, many we, the brothers, how we treat our women. Is that a representative of Islam? Of the deen? Have you heard that last week in Afghanistan, a man killed his wife because she gave birth to a girl? Is that representative of Islam? No. But the non-Muslims and others, they use that as Islam. That's what Islam is all about. Or like what happened in Canada in 2009, you heard about it, right? Who was sentenced also last week. The father and his son, they're Muslims from Afghanistan again, who killed 3 of their daughters, 19 and 17, and I think 13 years old. It's just because they were going to the public schools and, they wanted to follow the mainstream. Is that Islam? Does he represent Islam? No. No. And so, at Deen, there is a huge difference. Is there fundamentalism in Islam? No. No. There is no. There is no... Islam and ad-Deen. Ad-Deen is one. Decreed, defined, chosen, selected, perfected from Allah. From Allah. When I assume it, matalan, and I come to you guys, Ya akhi, why am I looking at the sisters? Why don't you or send them upstairs, or send them downstairs? They can see us, right? Why are they sitting there? Right? So what are you going to say? You're going to say that I am mutashaddid. No. I have a way of, I am following and I miss because my knowledge is not perfect. I don't understand what I'm supposed to understand, and I don't do what I'm supposed to do, and therefore I do not represent Islam. There are no mashayikh. There is no sheikh in Syria, right? Who graduated from Al-Azhar, okay? Who's coming up with all of these fatwa that all of these people, are, these people that want their freedom, right? Does he represent Islam? No. No. He represents himself. He has a tadayyun. He has a way of following something other than what Allah has selected. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference? How do I now follow this deen? How do I follow it? It's through that. When I don't know, when I don't acquire knowledge, when I don't struggle to learn, I will follow whatever I saw my family and my culture do. But that's not Islam. That's not Islam. That's tadayyun. And Allah Azza wa Jal wants from you His deen, His way of life. He says, I want you to do this. I want you to behave like this. I want you to dress like this, to talk like this, to act like this, to work like this, to marry like this, to raise children like this, to deal with your parents like this, to deal with the environment like this. And then, in parallel with that, there is, and I don't want you to do this, and I don't want you to do that, and I don't want you this, and I don't want this, and I don't want this, and I don't want this. How are we going to know that? How? Acquire the knowledge. You cannot, and that's why on the Day of Judgment, we cannot just claim, well, my father gave it to me. I just grew up in an Islamic environment. You have to ask questions. You got to learn. So that you are, because remember, success depends on, number one, and we will come to see, because we will come to see what Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying. And in the first verse, the first command is what? Is what? Iqra. Iqra. And Iqra in Arabic is not just Iqra, read. No, it includes everything. It includes everything. It includes read, it includes investigate, it includes analysis, research, question, everything. It is part of the word Iqra. And that's why Sayyid Qutb rahimahullah said, and that is also to see that many of us, and then on the other extreme, so we have on one extreme, those who just says, yeah, and I'm busy. No, that's not for me. No, I don't want no Islamic education. I'm going to be a doctor, inshallah. Okay? And then we have those who go to, to Islam, مثلا, to just, the Islamic university that we have. But they're just, what are they after? What are they after? Huh? A diploma. They're after a diploma. And again, that's worse than this extreme. They're both bad. But this one, you're coming to this ilm, but instead of making it shine and give you light and direction, what do? And that's what happened مثلا to many of these scholars. And even the Prophet ﷺ also described, are all the ulama the same? Ulama. Those مثلا that have al-alimiyya or the PhD in tafsir or whatever, are they all the same? No. The Prophet ﷺ distinguished three types. There is alim, alim, the one who fears Allah, or the alim of the Quran. And then there is the alim of a sultan, the ones who they look up to the king or the president, and whatever fatwa he wants, whatever policy, if you may, they find some fatwa for him so that he does whatever he wants. And then there is the ulama of people. You want to buy a house, right? But you want to go to, TCF or whatever. Inshallah, there are ulama who will make it permissible. You see? And so these extremes are, and that's not what Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying. He's saying, look, this is my path. And for you to be on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, what's the first thing you need? Ilm. That's the first thing. It's impossible to be on a Sirat al-Mustaqim without ilm. Without ilm. And then now once you have the ilm, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ on the Day of Judgment. Nobody will be let go until he provides answers to 4 questions, right? And one of those 4 questions is عن العلم. What did you do about or with your knowledge? And so there is تدين فكري وتدين عملي. There are people who just put stuff, fiqh and hadith and all that. What do we do with it? When we sit down, we talk. Oh no, akhi, that hadith is weak. That hadith is strong. No, that's not what the al-mufassirun meant. And then when we finish, what do? We go outside and we light up a cigarette. Or we just step out and start making namima or ghiba. Why? Because we have separated, we think, oh no, that's just ilm, just stuff we need to get so that we talk about and we drink a cup of tea and eat baklava or something. And the Shaheed Sayyid Qutb, he said that belief itself, al-iman, quwwatun dafi'a. Al-iman, if you're truly a believer, it should make you act. It should make you act. Because iman in Islam, belief, aqidah, is not dead. It's not dead. If you believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, then what would you do? What do? You got to work. Yes. You got to get out and work. You can't just say, well, yeah, inshallah, Allah Azza wa Jal Ghafoor Rahim. You have to work. قوة دافعة فما تكاد حقيقته تستقر في القلب حتى تتحرك لتعمل. As long and as soon as it resides and sits in the heart, it will propel you to work. If you're really truthful. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim كذلك said العمل لقاح العلم. Action is the pollen, you know, in flowers and plants. العمل لقاح العلم. Actions and deeds are the pollen of the knowledge. And it means what? It's like knowledge is, it's just a seed. It's just a seed. It needs something to bring fruits. And the fruits are going to come through al-amal, through actions. فَإِذَا اجْتَمَعَا, listen, فَإِذَا اجْتَمَعَا كَانَ الْفَلَاحُ وَالسَّعَادَةُ. When they are there together, when you have ilm and amal, you will be successful and you will be happy in this life as well as in al-akhirah. وَإِنْ انْفَرَدَ أَحَدُهُمَا عَنِ الْآخَرِ لَمْ يُفِدْ شَيْئًا. If you have ilm and no amal, you're in bad shape. And if you're doing actions without amal, you're also in a bad shape. And they will not help you. And so it's very important to know that we need both. We need ilm, and once we acquire the ilm, that ilm needs to be applied. If you listen to a lecture about al-ghiba, what should you do? You gotta stop. You gotta stop. If you listen to something مثلا an riba, right? What should you do? If you cannot stop instantaneously, what should you do? You should devise a plan to stop, to get out of it. If you مثلا the rights, if you مثلا learn or listen to something on حقوق الزوجة, the rights of the wife, or vice versa, حقوق الزوج, what should you do? Huh? You gotta follow it. You have to implement it. Otherwise, that lecture on the day of judgment is going to be a prosecutor against you. Do you know what a prosecutor is, right? Is the one who wants to make life miserable for the person in court. But there, it's al-yawm al-akhir. Al-yawm al-akhir. The Quran itself, the Quran is guidance, right? And it will be a lawyer. يعني يدافع عنك. It will be a lawyer on your behalf. Or it will be a prosecutor. Who just finished the Quran once in his life? Just once. See, we all finished it many times, right? But how much of it have we applied? How much of it have we applied? And that's why you see the difference. Remember when he talked about it last time. Yani the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they used to come and ask for how many ayat? 10. And what did they used to go to? Memorize, study, analyze, and then implement them. Then they come to the Prophet ﷺ and then they ask, has anything else been revealed? What do we do? We want to مثلا listen to Sheikh Abdul Basit or I don't know, anybody. We just, because what do we want? We just want that beauty of the voice. We just want to listen. We just want to relax. Wallahi, wallah, qira'a jamila. It's a nice recitation. Let's listen to it. Listen. وحتى مثلا يعني الإخوة اللي when Sheikh Abdul Basit rahimahullah يعني used to go through يعني across the Muslim world, he used to sit and then he'll recite and people will go Allah, Allah. But that's not يعني that's not what the Quran is. That's not what the ilm in Islam is. Al-ilm is you better just learn one thing and struggle to implement it. But what do we want to do? Did you hear what? Oh, okay, let's get that. Oh, I want you to hear to this, listen to this scholar, listen to this muhadara, listen to this, listen to this. And we don't do anything. And how many prosecutors are we going to have? We're going to have as many. Too many. Too many. And that is why Imam al-Khatib al-Baghdadi said, now to see, he's going to tie up this with this and then this one. Because in Islam, again, don't go to the university taking mathalan aqidah and taking stuff just because maybe you want to be an imam or maybe you want a salary. Don't do that. Don't do that. Have this as your goal and then have the sincerity, have ikhlas. And so he says, ثم إني أوصيك, and I give you advice, يا طالب العلم, O student of knowledge, بإخلاص النية في طلبه. Have your niyyah to be sincere in your pursuit of knowledge. وإجهاد النفس, listen, وإجهاد النفس على العمل بموجبه. يعني مثلا, let me just, I'll use myself. Let's say I backbite a lot. I like it, right? And then you give me a tape or a DVD or something, right? About ghiba. Is it going to be easy for me? No. But what is the challenge? The challenge from Allah Azza wa Jalla is what? To struggle. Let's struggle. That's my disease. That's my sickness. That's my shortcoming. What do I need to do? I need to work on it. You may have another shortcoming different from you. Probably Allah Azza wa Jal did not try you with ghiba, but you've got something else, and you've got something else, and you've got something else. Then what do you need to do? So he said, وَإِجْهَادَ النَّفْسِ. He's giving two advice. Two nasihat. One, ikhlas al-niyya. Remember, you're not seeking this for the diploma or for a salary. You want al-Jannah. Because this is what's going to take you to Jannah. That's the first step. So make your niyyah sincere. And two, ijhad al-nafs ala al-amali bimujibih. Struggle against your nafs to act upon what you learn. To act upon what you learn. And wallahi akhwani, this is what I want you also to learn, to remember. Don't just amass Islamic knowledge. Don't amass it. Take what you can. Take what you can. Implement. You're going to say, well, how am I going to know that? I tell you, it's easy, right? And some of you are engineers or managers, right? What do we need to do? Usually what do we do in our careers? We concentrate on first things first, right? So if you have, let's say I smoke, akramakumullah, but I also go to these people that are buried somewhere and they've been pious or good, and so I go seek help from them. So what should I work on first? Which one? Why? Because that's shirk. Yes. Smoking, yes, it's bad and it may cause me cancer. It may kill me, but it can wait. It can wait. Another example, let's say, I told you this last time, let's say I have problems with my parents. What should I do? I should fix that problem. If I don't have no shirk, then the next thing, because the Islam, that's why knowledge, Al-ilm also, it tells you, it teaches you the priorities. We all have faults. But a lot of times, what do? We probably worry about the beard. Or we worry about, okay, what should they wear? Should it niqab or should it hijab? And because we don't want to deal with the other problems. Why? Because they're too difficult. Or a nafs requires a lot of struggling, and we don't want to do that. But this other stuff, we can spend a lot of time fighting over it. Why? Because it's intellectual. We like that. And so it is critical to always remember this halaqah is for what? For who? And then for whose benefit? For you, not ours. Just mind your business. It's yours and mine and mine. And when we implement, remember in economics they talk about the invisible hand. Allah Azza wa Jal didn't make it invisible. We all see it. When I'm good, you benefit from my goodness. And when you become good, I benefit from your goodness. And we all gonna benefit from when we are good. But first, I need to understand that what is my objective in this earth? My objective is that I am a abd. And in this ubudiyah, Allah Azza wa Jal said, look, I have built two things, two houses for you. Which one you want? You're gonna build them, you're gonna earn them. You want Jannah? This Jannah, this is what it requires. Number one, ilm. Number two, actions. And number three, sincerity. If you don't have none of these things, you're going to this other house. If I'm intelligent, what do I do? What do I do? That's what I want. I want this Jannah. And I want to do everything within my power to guarantee that I will go there after the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi continues and he said, listen, فَإِنَّ الْعِلْمَ شَجَرَةٌ. Knowledge is a tree. A tree. And it's a tree here, in this case, a tree that bears fruits. وَالْعَمَلُ تَمَرَةٌ. وَالْعَمَلْ تَمَرَةٌ. This amal is what? And that's why, remember here, knowledge must lead to actions. Why? Because actions are the fruit, are the outcome of your knowledge. And so you see me, I've got knowledge, and you see me work, right? Right? Do you know my heart? No. And I don't know your heart. And that Allah Azza wa Jal kept it personal, hidden. It's between you, each one of us, and Allah Azza wa Jal. وليس يعد. إذن what is العالم? احنا مثلا what do we call a عالم? Huh? A scholar. What do we call a scholar? We have a sheikh, or either there is a diploma that's on the wall, there's a PhD in between before the name, right? Listen what he says. He says, وَلَيْسَ يُعَدُّ عَالِمًا مَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ بِعِلْمِهِ عَامِلًا. He is not a scholar, the one who does not act upon his ilm, upon your knowledge. If you have the knowledge, you have to act upon it. That's how you are described, a alim. And that's how you get closer. Remember, here is the deen. The deen is this. Okay? Where am I going to be? We're all scattered. We're all scattered around this line. Once we start to acquire knowledge and we act upon it, what happens to us? Huh? we get closer, we get closer, we get closer to it. That's why was fundamentalism at the time, in the early generations, or even few years ago, it was never a problem. Why? Because things were very clear. Were very clear. Were very clear to Muslims that this is the way. This is the way. And remember the Prophet ﷺ, when he was with the Sahaba, he drew for them a square or a rectangle, and he drew a straight line. And then many lines crossing that polygon. And then what did he say? You want Jannah? Where do you go? On that straight line. And then on each of these other lines, there is a shaitan. Shaitan somewhere there. And so, you're embarking on a journey of knowledge, you're going to have a trial with the shaitan that's going to make you think that, now I'm too good. I know it. And then you start, you lose focus, and you lose the essence of what you need to do. That is why many of our ulama, they say, Al-Imam al-Thawri rahimahullah said, Zayyinul ilma, beautify knowledge. What does that mean? Beautify knowledge. Zayyinul ilm. Huh? How? We put misc on it. How do we do that? Huh? How? It's easy, it's easy. It's by your actions. By your actions. Al-ilm, if you have ilm, if you memorize the Quran, if you know a hadith, if you listen to a muhadara, make it beautiful, make it pretty with your actions with it. Apply it. Apply it. He said, زينوا العلم ولا تزينوا به. Beautify the knowledge and don't beautify yourselves with it. Which means, what does it mean? What's the latter part mean? Huh? I acquire it, and then what do? I sit here and I give you a lecture, right? And then I go out, you leave something, I'll take it, right? That's just, I am being beautiful, handsome with ilm. But that is not, al-ilm in Islam is not like that. Because if you use it that way, it will prosecute you. Ilm is an ingredient to help you. And in order for it to help you, you have to transform it into amal, And wallahi, akhwa, I need you, wallahi, I need you to understand this. Our fitna nowadays is what? Excessive ilm. والله احنا في عندنا تخمة. It's we're so we're so full. We have a lot of ilm, but it just does not, it just does not pass beyond here. If we ask any of us, we know we probably memorize a lot of Quran, and some of us even memorize it more than a Sahaba. But the ilm is where? The ilm is here or here, and we are way down in terms of our action. And that is not what Allah Azza wa Jal said. Then in Islam, al-ilm wasilatun wa laysa ghayatun. Al-ilm wasila. Why you come to a halaqa? Yes, you probably love the companionship of a brother or a sister, right? But that should be secondary. Why do you come here? Huh? And then act. Wallahi, that's what it's very important. I want to learn something so that I can apply it, so that I can, huh? Yes, so that I can get closer to my Jannah. There is no way that we can get closer to Jannah without this path. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, من سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما. You know the hadith. I think everybody knows this hadith. سهل الله له به طريقا إلى الجنة. Whoever embarks on a path for knowledge. This is the hadith. So that's the first one, right? If you seek knowledge, then Allah Azza wa Jal will give you Jannah. What does that mean? Allah iftah alayk. You will have Jannah. You want Jannah? Learn. Know what Allah Azza wa Jal wants. Act upon it. And do it in sincerity for Him. You will have Jannah. It is not that, but how do we understand the hadith? Well, how do we understand it? Wallahi, many times, wallahi, أنا مثلا, when I leave or when مثلا Sheikh Hatim or all of these lectures, how much do you remember? Huh? A little, right? Wallahi, it's a fact now, even in seminars, in professional seminars, when people don't take notes, at most they memorize, they remember 3 things. It's a scientific fact. Across fields, computers, psychology, engineering, medicine. You go to a convention and you sit down. What's the first thing they give you and you go to a convention, professional convention? What do they give you? Huh? What? They give you a pen and some notes, right? A notepad. For what? So that you take notes. And what do we think? We understand the hadith. And then we also couple it with the other hadith. If you just come to the masjid, the angels are there, and then Allah Azza wa Jal will bless you with His mercy, and you are not going to be a loser. Just as long as you are with them. Right? Yes. That's an incentive for you to come to the masjid so that you learn. Not that you come to the masjid and then we all stack up around the wall, right? Masjid al-Huda, al-Faruq, everybody we're just stacking up. And then if there is a aqiqah, what are we waiting for? When is, inshallah, when is Sheikh going to finish? No, it's very important that also, if we are serious and if we understand what we're supposed to be doing, what do we need to do? I need to write. Taqyid al-ilm is one of the conditions. مثلا أخي in engineering, when you go to lecture, what do? You just go and sit? You just go and sit? No. I mean, or if there is a derivative or integrals and things like that, are you just going to look at them and, yeah, inshallah, I will get an A. Right? And even if you have because our mind, we've bombarded with a lot of stuff, it probably we won't have, as a Shafi'i rahimahullah he just looks at one thing and then he memorizes it. We don't have that capability. And so it's critical that also if I'm listening and either watching a lecture or on the internet or مثلا at a halaqa like this. Take notes, take notes. Why do you want to take notes? So that I don't want anything else. I just want to know, see, what can I do with what I've heard? And when I go home, also, a lot of times, مثلا, our spouses are not with us, right? Do we want to go to Jannah alone? Right? No. And so I want to also be able to teach her, to explain stuff to her. And how am I going to do it? Wallahi, a lot of times, a lot of the brothers, الأخوات, they complain, they say, Wallahi, I ask him, and then what did the sheikh talk about? He goes, he talks about Aqidah. Well, what in Aqidah? What did he talk about? Well, of course you're not going to remember anything, because you were not taking notes. Because if you had notes, when she's going to ask you, what are you going to do? You're going to say, this is what he talked about. There was an introduction, and then he talked about this ayah, and this is what he said. This is what the mufassirun have said, and this is what he recommended. And then you know what, my dear? This is what we need to do. Let's think of a way so that we can implement what Allah Azza wa Jal wants us to do. What do we do? We come to khutbah al-Jum'ah. What do we get out of the khutbah al-Jum'ah? We're always looking at the imam. Oh, who's coming today? How, why do you guys, he should be done in 30, if he finishes in 35 minutes, everybody now is going to talk to the board. He takes too long. Granted, don't misunderstand. Yes, we should be, within the time allotted. But what are you going to do with what you have heard? In a halaqa, same thing as well. And so the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fihi ilman, sahhala Allahu lahu tariqan." So what did he say? Did he say that he will admit him? What's the word? سهل. ما معنى سهل? What is سهل? Easy. Facilitate. You have, you got a foggy view, you don't know what to do. But with ilm, now what do? I know. But is it enough? Is it sufficient? No. Now it has become easy for you. What's left? Your action, and then what? And your heart. The ilm, it's like a light. It gives you light, it gives you direction, orientation. Now all that's left for you is act upon it, and then fight against yourself. Who are you doing this for? And so that is why the ulama said, إِذَنْ فَالْعِلْمُ وَسِيلَةٌ وَطَرِيقٌ إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. Al-ilm is the path to Jannah. ولا يكون هذا إلا بالعمل بمقتضى هذا العلم. And you will not get to Jannah unless you transform that ilm into actions. Wallahi, I'm going to leave Surah Al-Hajj, verse 54. Just memorize it, okay? Because I see nobody's writing anything. Okay? Yes, right. Okay? So, Surah Al-Hajj, verse 54. And again, I highly encourage you to read tafsir. And don't say, Ya akhi, wallahi, I don't have no books. They're available on the internet. Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَلِيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكَ. so that those who have acquired knowledge know and understand that it is al-haq, that it is the truth from your Lord. And then what? فَيُؤْمِنُوا بِهِ. And then what's number one? Look, it's a sequence. One thing leads to the other. Number one is what? Knowledge. Do you want to be a good believer? Do you want to have a strong iman? How does it happen? احنا مثلا we have in the Twin Cities now, we've got all these parties going on about al-Mawlid. Right? None of that stuff is I'm not going to do anything for you. You want to strengthen your iman, what do? Learn. Learn who is this Lord. Who is Allah? Who are you? And then what He wants. And then what has He prepared for me. Good as well as the bad. And if I know that, then Allah Azza wa Jal said, فَيُؤْمِنُوا بِهِ. And then, فَتُخْبِتَ لَهُ قُلُوبُهُمْ. Knowledge will lead to iman, and then will lead to khushu', which involves everything. The actions, and ikhlas, and ihsan in the actions. Why? Because now you know. Now you have hikmah, you have basira. You know what you're supposed to be doing. And so that is why the ulama here said, علم فإيمان فإخبات. Because Islam is not it's not a deen of rahbaniyah. We can just, oh no, we're just going to be repeating some tahleel and some, No. Akhi, this deen is beautiful. But it requires stuff. It requires action. It requires mujahada. Al-Imam al-Shafi'i said, الطبع أرض. الطبع أرض. إيش معنى الطبع؟ you're the way you are. Your disposition. The way you are. I grew up in Morocco, I have a particular طبع. Right? You grew up in Somalia, you've got a particular طبع. It may be close to mine, it may be different, right? Some people that grew up in Saudi Arabia, it's also going to have their own طبع. But listen, وَالْعِلْمُ بَدْرٌ. And knowledge is seed. It's a seed. وَلَا يَكُونُ الْعِلْمُ إِلَّا بِالطَّلَبِ. And you will not acquire knowledge except by seeking it, by struggling to acquire it, by running after it. فَإِذَا كَانَ الطَّبْعُ مُسَاعِدًا زَكَى رِيعُ الْعِلْمِ وَتَفَرَّعَتْ مَعَانِيهِ. And so if you have a طبع, you have to also work on your طبع, on who you are. So that when you acquire the knowledge, what happens? It will bear its fruits. It will bear its fruits. And that is why, how many of you have heard, and I know you probably either your nafs and shaitan has told you this, right? That don't study on your own. You got to study under a sheikh. Who has heard this? And who has refrained from opening the book, hoping one of these days I'm going to study under the wings of a sheikh? Right? That's the misunderstanding. That's not what's meant. That's not what's meant. Here, Imam al-Shawkani rahimahullah said, وَلَعَلَّ اشْتِرَاطَ الْعُلَمَاءِ أَنْ يَكُونَ طَالِبُ الْعِلْمِ. The reason why the ulama have made it a condition for you to seek knowledge under a scholar is كي يتأكدوا من تخلقه بأخلاق العلماء وتحليه بآدابهم، وهذا لا يحصل إلا بالمعرفة والمصاحبة والاختبار. Why do you need a scholar? Why do you need a scholar? Yes, that's the essence. The essence is now you're studying مثلا what Imam Ibn Taymiyyah has put in this book, right? It's not only that I need somebody to help me decipher it, explain it, but I also, if I read something here, when I look at مثلا Sheikh Walid or Sheikh Farouk or Sheikh Hatim, what am I looking for? What are they doing? No. How they behave. How they behave, so that when I see them behaving that way, what am I going to do? Copy them, mimic them, follow them. Not only, it's not that I just need to, yes, okay, well, what is this, Sheikh? I don't understand. Oh, yeah, that's what it means. And that's what the Mufassirun meant. And many of us also, because we don't want to assume responsibility, what do we say? يعني والله يعني مثلا, and I tell a lot of brothers, يا أخي, why don't you open a book of fiqh? You go, والله I can't. And I need a sheikh. I need a sheikh. On my own, there's no way. No way, يا أخي. يعني, is it written in Chinese? No. It's easy. It's easy. يقول لك مثلا نغسل كذا, how many times, في definition of what is مثلا where is the hand, or definition where does the face start, where does it end, where does is the ear part of the face or not. That's easy. Even if you understand Arabic, it's والله. I mean, when I look at this, I was very happy to see the books of Ibn Taymiyyah in English. In English, والله ممكن تقول I can't read Ibn Taymiyyah's Arabic. Okay, granted. Well, can you read English? Can you? Then read it. And then if something you don't understand, yes, come and ask. And pay attention to also how these ulama are acting. And then understand that what I read is my business, is for me. It needs to change me. And I must use it to change me. Otherwise, is shaitan happy with me? Yes. هو أنت ممكن تقول لي والله, and that's why إحنا مثلا a lot of times يا أخي إحنا we're not أكرمكم الله, we don't go to bars and we don't, yeah, that's good, but still we don't do anything. And shaitan is very happy with us. Why? Come on, huh? Well, yes, we're doing nothing. It's like مثلا تقول لي يلا let's go to a bar and go, no, أخي حرام. And then you start talking about the brother. Oh yeah, sure, you're right. Wallahi, he did the same thing to me last month. Why? Because we have this, as the ulama have talked about it, we have bad tadayyun, bad following and understanding and implementing the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that is why Al-Imam Al-Shawkani said that the reason why the scholars require you to seek knowledge under the wings of a sheikh, so that they make sure that you learn their ethics in addition to their ilm. Okay? And that is why also they used to say, لا تصاحب من لا ينهض بك حاله. مثلا, now I teach you, right? But مثلا, let's say we organize a soccer game, right? And then the first tackle you tackle me, I swear I insult you, I kada. The ulama say, don't befriend me, don't take me as a friend, as a brother, as a companion. Why? Yes, because I've got a separation of knowledge and action. Knowledge is just stuff that it's like I have a degree in something and that's what I do. But in terms of who I am, what are my akhlaq, my ethics, my suluk, my behavior, it is driven by my own nafs, my own nafs. And so, لا تصاحب من لا ينهض بك حاله. Don't befriend the one who will not pick you up, whose behavior, whose akhlaq will not pick you up. وَلَا يَدُلُّكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَقَالُهُ. And then what he talks about and what he shares with you is not an indication or is not, it will not bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any questions? What do you mean? You just reading the translation? Just a translation. You just reading the English? Yeah. It's highly recommended that for the understanding of the Quran to read a tafsir. To read a tafsir. In particular, if you don't have the necessary tools. And what we mean by the necessary tools is, for example, the knowledge of the language, either the Arabic or whatever language is translated into Arabic or Somali or whatever, and then you don't have the knowledge of the Quran itself, the sciences of the Quran. When were these verses revealed? Which verse leads, it's in association with some other verses. Okay? And so it's critical that when you read the Quran, don't just look, okay, what is my goal this month? Well, I need to finish from this min alhamdu linnas, okay? I need to finish it. Well, that's good. But it's better to go slow and read the tafsir. And alhamdulillah, now, akhi, there's a lot of, even if you don't, there's a lot of websites. Even if you don't read Arabic, even Tafsir al-Dilal by Shaheed Sayyid Qutb, and I found it, it's on the internet, in English. Inshallah, I will send you the link to it. I think it's kalimatullah or kalamullah.com. Huh? That's the website. So kalamullah.com, and then you just, I think, look under Quran, and then it will lead you to it. There is, it's 14 volumes in English. And so, and the reason, what we want, and مثلا, another thing is Riyad al-Salihin. Okay? Take it, it's a simple project. Every day, read a hadith with your spouse and your children. And also it's available on the internet, in Arabic as well as in English. Not just the Riyad itself, with a sarh, with an explanation, and with lessons. Okay, when I read this hadith, what are the lessons? What should I learn? What is it telling me? And then you talk about it with your spouse. Wallahi, we need to do this. Wallahi, ya Flan, ya Abu Flan. Wallahi, we misunderstood. We've been behaving badly. I'll help you and you help me. So that we do this.
Take the meeting for
No, you still have, يعني, you still, I mean, for us, because, يعني, and I'm just assuming, يعني, all of us are in the same boat, يعني, we did not have the right upbringing, we don't have, يعني, excellent Arabic, nor excellent English. Don't go in there on your own. Because if you do, the probability that you're going to slip is very high. And so you need a guidance of the mufassirun of the Quran and the shurrah of the hadith to guide you. And don't say, Wallahi, no, I'm not, no, akhi. يعني مثلا القاعدة ولا يعني these groups of التكفير, where did they all come from? It's all in not knowing how to deal with the knowledge. And even in our history, يعني all the firaq that went astray, it was all the result of what? Fahm, the result of understanding. The understanding was way off. That's why, akhi, yani I said, ad-deen is one. How you going to follow it? You're one way, I am one way, he's another way. We're all different ways. But Allah wants us to all follow and acquire the necessary steps so that we're all follow the same thing and we all look the same or think the same and understand the same. Then yes, then we are representative of the deen. And so, Baba, clear? Yani, don't, wallahi ikhwa, yani, don't just read the Quran because you just want the hasanat. Remember, that's an incentive. You know what's an incentive? And it's something that Allah Azza wa Jal wants you to come in. No, to come in. The incentive, yani, like in economics and everything in life. When مثلا يعني the government or a teacher يعني مثلا or even sometimes we have it in when there is a conference, right? And they say, okay, if you volunteer, مثلا if they can ask you, okay, would you do the video recording for the conference? And you're in free. You'll be admitted free. What's that? It's an incentive. It's an incentive. Allah Azza wa Jal saying, look, if you read a harf, I will give you 10 hasanat. 10 hasanat. If you read one harf, I'll give you 10. Another, I'll add another 10. Another harf, I'll add another 10. But unfortunately, what do? We get stuck on the hasanat. The Quran was not revealed like that. The Quran is a manual. It's a manual. And the hadith as well is a manual. When a verse talks about something, what does it want you to do? Act upon it. Act upon it. And so when you act upon it, you're going to earn some income. And then when you read it, on top of that, you're going to get whatever letters you have times 10. في سورة البقرة يعني the verses for صدقة. Allah is telling us that if you spend, I will give you 700 or more. So what does He want? So what time we read it, right? But we're satisfied with what? 10. Even from the point of view of rationality, we're irrational. We're irrational. I read it and Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us يعني مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت سبع سنابل في كل. And then what does that mean? It means that if I spend $1, I will get 700. No, note. It is greater at least. At least Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, I will give you at least 700. But what do I do? Who's doing the fundraising? The ICM? No. Al-Huda? No. I just know, inshallah, and I read, okay, and then, yeah, alhamdulillah. And then we kiss it, and then, so, okay. هو does not يعني these things Allah Azza wa Jal يعني a mercy and also to express His love for us. Come to my book that I made for you, and I will give you stuff. But remember, that's not the goal. The goal is that you implement it. Don't just read it. And wallah, ikhwa, that is, yani, remember, and also think about this. If you, مثلا, you read, yani, you go through the ayah, مثلا, of riba, wallahi, yani, it's, and then you know, Allah, you read it, that, yani, if you make riba, that you have declared a war on Allah Azza wa Jal. And then what are we doing? Oh, well, yeah, there is no Islamic bank in here. They charge you more than the conventional bank. So, it doesn't matter. Haram, haram. Haram, haram. If the Islamic bank charges you 10% and this one charges you 5%, it's haram. But no, we don't want to think that way. I don't know. And it is our problem. We have to work in order to, bring this gap lower, enter this market. Why not? Enter it. Because if you leave, مثلا, one company, of course they're going to charge you more. Of course. Because what they're saying? They're saying, well, we're the only one in the market. Well, and these are Muslims. We need to make money. And so, inshallah, I will close with this. Remember that الدينون لله تعالى, يعني to follow Allah Azza wa Jal. Again, another ayah. Remember it again, and I know now that I've given you two, so probably the first one is gone. What was the first one? Surah Al-Hajj? What? This one is Surah An-Nisa, verse 125. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ دِينًا, and then whoever is or got better deen. And deen, as I explained to you, is what? Is not religion. It is a way of life. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ دِينًا مِمَّنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَهُوَ muhsan. وَهُوَ muhsin. And he is a perfectionist, he's good, he's a strong believer, everything. وَاتَّبَعَ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. Then, again, to summarize, requires from this ayah al-ikhlasu tam. Right, you're going to bring ilm and you're going to act. And if you don't have ikhlas, everything will be for nothing. Then al-ikhlasu tam. And then the second thing, al-ihsanu tam. You can't just say, well, wallahi, هذا اللي قدرنا عليه الله. That's all we know. Wallah, we don't know. Wallah, ya akhi, I don't know. I can't read. I can't understand. I can't. هي كلها تبريرات. I just, because I don't want to do, I am the problem. We don't want to do that. Who's the problem? Well, you're the problem. Wallah, he's the problem, the government. Wallah, my parents are the government. Wallah, the wife is the problem. Wallah, the career is the problem. Wallah, I'm taking too many courses. I don't have time. And all of these are just excuses. Then, clear, akhi? Clear? And so, wallahi, and I highly encourage myself and all of you to take the knowledge seriously and don't overwhelm yourself. Knowledge in Islam is not about the knowledge itself. It's about what you're going to do with it. And take, even if it is just one verse, if you just do one verse and one hadith from Riyadh al-Salihin, Al-Imam al-Nawawi, what did he call it? Riyadh. What is Riyadh in Arabic means?
Garden.
Huh? Who said it? Yes. And it's a garden. It's a garden. It's a garden of a Salihin. That's where they go, and then what do you do in the garden? You go pick some apples here, some bananas there, some strawberries here, some nice flowers here, some good shade on a tree, under a tree. Huh? Or just look. Or just look, yes. Or just sit and enjoy and look. And that's, Imam al-Nawawi, we call that Riyadh al-Salihin. And all it does is stuff that you need to do in order to work on yourself, your nafs, your aql, and your heart. And wallahi, if you just take one ayah and one hadith a night or day, how many, by the end of the year, how many hadith you going to have? 365. Memorized and what? But more important, applied. Applied. And wallahi, ikhwana, this is what we want. This is what we need. Yani we need to be the world out there. Either non-Muslims or Muslims alike are thirsty for us. For us. And there is, the opportunity is out there, but it's up to you. You want to take it, it's for you. You don't want to take it, it's going to be against you. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم جزاكم الله خير. And if you have any questions or if you want to add any comment,